literally listening to us. Oh, that's a nice ass.
Yo, let me see. Yo. Pause, bro, pause.
Is it? Wait, is my...
Remember this was on live stream?
I think it...
Oh, she's like, man, get the fuck, go back home.
You don't need to be around Payam. Is it on?
I can't tolerate Payam.
It's paused due to poor connection. Bitch, what do you mean due to poor connection? We're telling your followers that you started a live video. Pause. There we go.
Oh, it's live?
It is now. And then so is the Twitch live.
Alright, everybody. What's up?
Oh shit, my bad. Was that? No,
my grandma liked it too. Thanks, Grandma.
Oh, your grandma liked it too?
Yeah.
Hey, let's go, man. Alright, we're back. We before we left, we just discussed the idea of, the human interpretation of God, of a God entity, and then we kind of like took an intermission. It's just going to be a short discussion. Oh, we got some people joining. What's going on? Yeah, it'll be a short discussion. We're going to have another one tomorrow. Tomorrow's topic will be just about more towards altruism and hedonism, and just philosophy versus theology. Not necessarily we're not necessarily going to discuss Zoroastrianism, but we're just going to talk about the difference between philosophy and theology. And
you said the human perspective, huh?
Human perspective of God, or
that's
like
very generous to say I'm a human. Thank you.
All right, Mark Zuckerberg, calm down.
I don't know what he is. He's a lizard man. He's a robot.
Yeah, he's a lizard man. Let me put the headset here so that the mic can capture both of our voices. We'll just have it right here. This is our mic. We're poor. That's all we can afford. Just kidding. All right, yeah. So we went over a little bit of Zoroastrianism and kind of like the interpretation of like the celestial, omnipotent, all-knowing God, and how pretty much it's different. It's a different perspective. I once got into like one of those like conference calls on YouTube. I got 20 minutes. Want me to go hop on Discord? Do you want him to get on top? You want him to talk about religion?
Yes, yeah. Let him off on, bro.
Okay,
let's do this.
We'll get on Discord.
Let's have some laughs, bro.
In that case, we're gonna need to hear him. So
bro, we got cameras in two directions too, bro. It's kind of hard. I don't know which camera.
So that the people on Instagram can see us, but
people on Instagram, okay, you guys got preferential treatment. You gotta let us know which way we gotta look. What should I hear?
So
feedback is important.
So these atheists were having a conference call on YouTube live where they want theists to come on their show and debate with them why they think their God is real. Kogi, we'll get to you in a second. I'm going to say my point, and then we're going to switch topics over with you. But the whole time,
you guys can hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
I believe I can.
Okay, perfect. Anyways, no, we basically they were having this discussion.
You don't want to help me real quick on some technical stuff.
Yeah, go for it, man.
Wait. Okay. I turned the stream off. You guys mind just staying a little bit? I just want to make sure I hear both your voices.
Yeah, sure thing. We'll both talk.
Yeah. I mean, the stream is 30 seconds behind on Twitch.
I'm probably not gonna pull it up because the voices it's very interfering with my thing. But yeah. I'm not gonna be here long. I just thought
Neither
you guys
are we. We're gonna be.
I'll just a sec,
Yeah, probably like 30 minutes. We'll probably get off at 11:30 as well. So, no, Cyrus, definitely. This was the friend I was talking about that really wants to meet you. You got to come back to Dallas so that you guys can hang out. Cyrus, this is Kungi. or Joshua. He goes by Joshua.
Let's keep the names kind of out of it. I might say some shit that might get me arrested.
Well, you don't need to show your face, just your voice.
Mr. K, we'll call you Mr. K.
You just say Joshua.
I mean, one day I might decide to pull up the webcam, you know.
Are you going to turn on your webcam too or not? You just
he's at work right now.
Oh, he's at work.
Yeah, he's got to beat some people.
But I mean, look, I know you guys don't really want to. I know you guys aren't exactly getting into the nitty gritty of things like that, but Pete told me you wanted a little bit more in depth conversation tomorrow.
About so I told him about like how like your life's like you're not really a big fan of talking about religion. That's you don't mind shitting on religion like just in general, but you're more so.
I just think it's full of shit. That's all I think.
Hey man, you sound like my uncle, bro. You sound just like my.
But your uncle, you're talking about the one.
My communist uncle.
Yeah, he's communist. So he's more so just I just do whatever.
Well, I was telling Payam, like I'm flexible in terms of topics. You just jump back and forth, whatever we feel like doing, we just go with the flow, But let's talk about you, man. So tell me about Singapore, bro. So about Singapore.
Yeah.
Let's start there.
I'm willing to give you a quick rundown. I can't kind of, obviously, it's deep, right? I'll be happy to tell you. What do you want to know? I mean, I can definitely go into more detail tomorrow, but what do you want to know?
So I got surface level knowledge about Singapore, how 1965, they split from Malaysia, they became a country, Lee Kuan Yew. There's this YouTuber from Singapore, I'm sure you know him. I think his name was Amos Yee. Like, he came to America, and like, when Lee Kuan Yew passed away, he was saying thank God.
He got a little bit of the old pedophile in his let's keep that topic for tomorrow.
Okay.
I'm in an environment where talking about touching children is exactly gonna help my cause here.
No, I was more talking about, just like Singapore. I wasn't gonna talk about that aspect. Yeah, I knew about that.
We don't need to go over the diddling kids part. That part we can leave that later.
But so,
Yeah.
in terms of censorship and stuff, so how strict are they about that stuff? So I heard he was like.
You actually, you know what? Yeah, go ahead. You said something about Lee Kuan Yew, right? You know about the man.
Yeah, I know. He was like very remarkable leader, especially in that era and stuff.
Oh, absolutely. I gotta say, when it comes down to leadership, out of all the world leaders that have ever existed, that I know about, I'm not exactly the most well-read guy, but I will tell you one thing, that one thing is that Mr. Lee is one hell of a guy. I mean, I might be a little bit biased as a Singaporean, but Uncle Lee, I mean, this man is the architect of Singapore's transformation. And, depending on who you ask, right? Depending on who you ask, this man is either a visionary leader who turned a fishing village into a global powerhouse.
Oh, yeah.
Or, if you ask somebody else, they would tell you that Mr. Lee is an authoritarian control freak who ran a city-state like his own personal fighter.
They say the same things about the king of Iran, the Shah of Iran, too. He's got supporters who said him and his father turned a feudal, agrarian, backwards middle-aged society into a modern, respectable nation. Others say no, him and his father, they were just authoritarian figures who used the country as their personal playground, Western puppets, and they fled. So it just depends on both sides of the coin, pretty much. But
here's the thing, the man has proof. Because you see, when he took over, look, my history is a little bit choppy, and the only thing is like when I really started researching about this guy was when he died.
Right.
And I was in college when that happened. So when he took over in the 50s, right, 1950s, all right, like Singapore was like nothing. Singapore was like an island with zero resources, ethnic tensions everywhere, right? The future was so bleak. It's basically a dystopian novel waiting to happen. Okay. No, when he took power, Singapore went from a third world country to a first world country in one single generation.
That's insane.
He turned it into a financial. That is fucking insane. he turned it into a financial hub that punches way above its weight level. Right? The GDP skyrocketed. Google it. Singapore has one of the highest standards of living in the world today.
One of the
It
cleanest.
became the envy of all the ASEAN nations, and still they're all still struggling, trying to pay their road. Yet somehow Singapore is the only first world country there, right?
Right.
And how he did it though isn't exactly passive. All right, this man. I mean, when Peter comes over, I mean, you take a look at the goddamn fucking airport. That airport, the Changi airport, is rated as one of the most beautiful airports in the world. It
And they
is
say it has all shopping
remarkable.
amenities. They say it has like a zoo. It has like a botanical garden. It has like
It has a zoo?
It has a zoo, doesn't it, man?
It has like AR shit inside the airport. There is a theme park. There is all kinds of weird shit in there. Now, of course, again, you have to understand that ultimately, at the end of the day, when you read enough about this guy, he's a dictator. Through and through. A full-blown authoritarian dictator. Greatness doesn't come without a few skeletons in his closet. And in his case, his closet is a fucking crypt. Okay? You don't get free speech. Okay? You try and criticize the government, you better enjoy lawsuit, jail time, or mysteriously die on your job.
Hey, but don't they have a park in
The
Singapore
man-
where people come and protest? They say there's one allocated space they have where they can, hold picket signs and stuff. I forgot where it was exactly. But they gave...
Yeah, like regular protests and everything, like for the most part, it's fine. But the thing is, like, he plays so under the radar. He plays in the shadows, this man. So until he needs to step out into the light to really obliterate the guy, you don't see it, and that's why he's so well regarded.
And what about his son? Like, I know his son
He
has
is
a
like-
important role.
He is like a political Batman, and I love him for that. Like, look, I don't have any conscience whatsoever, and the thing is, like, this man is absolutely like the gold standard of what a political powerhouse truly is. Okay, he doesn't just dislike his opposition; he obliterates them. He exiles them if he has to. Like, opposition leader would crush under law that bankrupted them.
Right.
There is no democracy. Okay, democracy is in quotation marks. Terms and conditions apply.
But here's the
in
thing.
any court case.
Here's the thing: is that he's not swayed by outside like corruption. Like when the West,
Absolutely not.
yeah, when the West try to come in and get them to like, or the UN, it's like, hey, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to adhere to these rules. Singapore was like, nah, we're okay, we're not gonna do that. Like human rights and stuff, they have their own way of putting like punishment fits the crime. They say they could, though, like UN considers that as a fucking human rights violation. Don't break the law. And on the other topic, in the West would consider him to be a dictator, but when you look at the standard of living in Singapore, no, I know it is, but when you look at the standard, people aren't suffering there. Like the standard of living is so good in Singapore.
Yeah, no, precisely. You know why? Because you gotta put an adjective before the word dictator, and that adjective is benevolent. He may be a dictator, and he may be a control freak, but the thing is, he actually does things not for himself.
For his
He
people.
actually does it for his people.
Exactly.
He may rule with an iron fist, but he does it not for personal power, not for consolidation of strength, but for the people that he is in charge of. And that is what makes a true leader. You know how difficult it is? You hand me an ounce of power, and I guarantee you half my opposition just immediately disappears off the face of the earth. I will go full that in my food. But
No, and
this
that's,
guy,
that's what I'm saying is that the standard of living is so
I would initiate the purge day one.
We'll get to that tomorrow.
24 hours to prepare. The purge starts tomorrow.
Don't go into more detail because we'll do that tomorrow. But I was saying that the standard of living is so good. Like if an American goes to Singapore and they look at it, they're like, man, this sucks. I can't speak my mind.
Yeah.
But Singapore.
I'm gonna summarize a little something about this, okay? I'm gonna summarize a little something about, because again, like I said, you want to go through this tomorrow, but I'm gonna go through a little tiny little bit on the whole Singapore being utopia kind of thing, right? Yeah. We don't exactly have these sort of things like First Amendment, Second Amendment kind of thing where like free speech and everything. Free speech, to some degree we have that. You can spout your mouth, you can run it all you want.
Well, there's consequences.
If they perceive you as a threat, you're fine. But here's the thing: modern day Singapore, right today, Mr. Lee died, his son took over, and his son basically groomed another guy. It's basically a hierarchy of power that is groomed throughout generations. You don't exactly. Your vote doesn't matter. Okay, I'm just gonna put that out there. Your vote doesn't matter in this country. Okay.
Any country, really.
Singapore is like it's the poster child for no. Singapore, to the eyes of the world, right, is the glitzy poster child for efficiency, for wealth, and sterile perfection, right? To the casual observer, it's like a Rolex.
And let me interrupt you right there.
It runs like clockwork, right?
They are one of the
But you want to start
Asian
peeling back the
tigers
layers
as well,
of
are
this little plexiglass display.
Are they not one
You
of the
want to walk the seedy underbelly with me? You will find a much darker, much greedier reality hiding in the shadows of all that high gloss PR, alright? Singapore is like the ultimate tourist destination, right? All the Westerners love to come to Singapore because it's like an economic nirvana in Asia. Right, the GDP per capita is crazy. It's one of the highest in the world.
Just to interject on that. For the sake of our audience and viewers.
Infrastructure just screams to other people, we're better than you.
For the sake of our audience too, I just want to add to your point of speech. Speaking of the GDP and the economy, they are one of the 4 original Asian tigers of the miracle economies from the 60s onwards that had phenomenal GDP growth per year too. Am I not mistaken? Along with Taiwan, South Korea, and Hong Kong.
Is Japan not one of those?
I think Japan, they were already...
Singapore is like incredible when it comes down to that. It has a lot of stuff, okay? We talk about safety, like crime rates in Singapore are so low that your grandma could just walk home at 2 a.m. holding a bag of gold bars.
Wow.
And she'll probably be fine. I'm not exaggerating.
Yeah.
That's
Like criminals there are
shut up.
scared. Like they're scared to do anything because they know the punishment does not fit the reward or the crime. Like here,
You want to know? Yeah, but you want to know why?
Why?
Because Big Brother is watching.
yeah,
They're watching our
Big Brother is always watching
exactly.
and judging.
And that's
Singapore is the ultimate surveillance state.
yeah. Like
You
if
think that the deficiency was a happy accident? Fuck off. Cameras are everywhere. Privacy is a fantasy. The government feeds everything. And every now and then, they remind you of that.
And you remember Dr. Howie in philosophy class when we went to college? He did mention, comparing the governments of the Soviet Union and the United States, like, transportation was always on time in the Soviet Union because if you were a second late, you'd get a bullet to the head. Like, the American government was made to not...
We don't know that extreme.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, exactly.
It was made to be not efficient.
I mean, again, I'm gonna have to stay anonymous with all this stuff, and again, I don't have much time. I'll be honest with you, and you'll see, by the way, Peter, when you get over here, we have slaves.
He's always watching. You have slaves?
From where? From Malaysia,
We have
Indonesia,
slaves.
Philippines?
No. From migrant workers from lower tier countries. I am straight up telling you that we have slaves. We do not whip them, we do not make them pick cotton because we don't have cotton. But I can tell you for a fact right now that we have slaves. Okay? You want to know the backbone of Singapore's development?
Slave labor.
It's a workforce of poorly paid migrant workers.
Yeah,
They build the skyline, they clean the streets. And you know where they live? In cramped little dormitories with basically zero protection and zero right. Completely outside, completely out of line.
What is the definition of slavery then? Because technically, we have slavery here as well, where people are in debt.
Yeah, I guess it's not exactly the traditional term of slavery where we understand it in the American or the human trafficking time. But if you talk about how much privilege and right somebody is entitled to, I consider these people slaves. Because if I compare my life to theirs, and how I'm treated versus how they're treated by everyone, not just the general population of the government, but by everyone. These people constitute slaves because they have less rights than anyone else. Not because they don't have citizenship. Because you could come here without a Singapore passport, and yet you'll be treated as an equal because you're not here to work on the infrastructure, but the people, the construction workers. You really think that construction workers are Singaporeans or people like me? No. I'm basically I'm built for nothing, right? And guess what? Guess who is the ones that keeps the Singapore running? You really think it's the government? You really think it's the people? Fuck no. If I had my way, half the people would be gone. All right.
What? Because of being
The real people, the unsung heroes of this country, they're the people who we treat like shit. These are slaves.
But I think that's every country, though. Every country they have the
is basically
classes which
country
constitute the workers who do the majority of the work in the economy. So that's a good point that you made. And even in the United States, you see we have migrant laborers, we have these labor violations. In other countries like Dubai and stuff, they're infamous for having slave labor from the Philippines, India, Africa. They trick them, they have a system, they keep their passports, they indebt them and they're forced to work there.
Even Mexico.
Even Mexico, yes.
Right?
Right.
And they work for what? Scraps.
Pennies to the dollar.
Right? Look, I mean, there's one other thing. I mean, this one is probably going to pertain a little bit more to, us, right? I mean, forget the government, the legals and everything. Let's talk about the real facade of what Singapore really is, right? Singapore market itself is what? This fancy tourist hub, right? Everybody wants to come over because it's clean, it's safe. There are branded good stores everywhere. You can buy Armani, and then over the next stop over, you can go to the Gap and you can afford Armani. Things like that. It's beautiful. Smoking is regulated, the air is clean, everything is wonderful. And then there's the places where I go. There's TV on the belly.
Well, cracker stands, you go buy durian fruit or something.
That reveal that beneath that little fucking shiny stuff is Singapore. Even the most polished gems have their flaws. The paradox of, think about it. Singapore bans chewing gum. You know that, right?
They ban durian fruit too, don't they? Even though it's big in that part of the world.
Durian is not banned, but chewing gum is. You're not allowed to chew gum in Singapore. You can bring durian. You can eat durian, you just can't bring it on public transportation. So.
Is it because of the smell?
Here's the deal though. They ban gum, but prostitution is legalized. So I would love to be a fly on the wall on the Daily Cabinet meeting happening, where all these ministers get together and it's like, hey, let's talk about the laws of this country for a second, alright? But we gotta rule this country in our office, alright? No gum, we gotta regulate smoking, definitely no drugs. Anybody who brings drugs gets murdered on the spot, alright? And then everybody is like, yeah, we gotta control this country, alright? No vice, no gambling, nothing of that sort. And then somebody in the background is like, hey, prostitutes, and everybody's like, hold on, come on, let's be reasonable.
Politicians, what do you expect from politicians?
That's pretty much what I imagine happened. Because that's kind of it, and here's the thing, like prostitution is like the tip of the fucking iceberg. Beneath that well-maintained street and all the all-seeing eye of the government and whatever it is, you want to talk about all the stuff? Let's go into more of that. Let's go into more of that tomorrow. We got all time to play. It is so hilarious that there's actually somebody actually coined this term. I think they shut it down already. There used to be this building. In fact, the building is located right in the center of town, the tourist district. Okay, you guys can Google it. It's called Orchard Road, which is the central, the downtown of Singapore. Everybody goes to Orchard Road because it's got everything. And there is a place called Orchard Towers, which I think they recently shut it down. You know what the nickname for Orchard Towers is?
What's that? What?
4 floors of whores.
4 floors of whores.
But you know what I think? I think they're involved with the espionage too. Remember, you said it's a surveillance state. Obviously, they collect a lot of information too. When people frequent those spots, they get intel on the clients and spread it around too. You know, of course.
No, it's brought up. It's brought up. Just trust me on this. I know a little bit more about the dark side of Singapore than most, and
Right.
I mean they shut down that place already because it's been making a little bit too much noise for the government. The government allows for a lot of these things. They know. You think they don't know? It's a surveillance state, right? They know. They just allow it because they haven't made that much noise yet. But now that they have, they decided, you know what, it's time to put it down. But guess what?
What?
You close down one, you basically just send them somewhere else. They don't go away. Oh, just trust me on this. I know. They don't go away. Because I know where they are.
Yeah, we will need to collect that information afterwards. But
Yeah.
No,
It's rubbish. Okay,
it's insane.
we'll talk about this in more detail. I gotta run, and but you wanna know more about the country.
sure.
I am more than happy to tell you about everything. I mean, don't get me wrong. I respect Lee Kuan Yew. The man rules in a way that I completely respect. You know, he's a dictator, but again, like I said, you gotta put the adjective benevolent before it.
He's not like Kim
in a
Jong-un.
single generation, a third world country to a first world country because he never cared much for himself. He only cared about the people. People may disagree with his methods, but at the end of the day, if you really want to be result-oriented, what happened? Look at Singapore now.
Right.
I could be a fisherman right now, okay, if it weren't for this guy.
You know, that's what they said in the old days. That's what the principal main source of revenue was there, especially when they were part of Malaysia. If I'm not mistaken, Singapore is the only country in the world that was involuntarily forced to leave a union with Malaysia because of, you know, they had an ethnic Chinese majority and
Oh
the
yeah,
that they had and whatnot.
the union thing. Lee Kuan Yew basically said, if you guys don't want to help us, y'all can fuck off. And that's what happened.
And it was to their benefit too. Now I'm pretty sure Malaysia regrets that. Regrets the fact they lost.
Yeah, precisely. I mean, you take a look at that. It's really a slap in the face. It's like breaking up with your ex and then just, you know, living better. And then one day calling him up and it's like, stuff, bitch.
Like a Darman video. Yeah, no, I mean, overall, just, you know, you were mentioning, like you said, don't get me wrong, Singapore is like a dictatorship, but it is by no means North Korea. It's not by no means Cuba.
No.
It is by
It's not. If not, a SWAT team would have busted through the building by now, and
it is
there
the
would be a
most.
sniper job.
It is the most functioning, successful dictatorship in the world. It is probably like the most successful. If you want
In
to.
essence, yes.
Yeah.
In essence, that's exactly what it is. Okay, I'll tell you what. You guys, think about a few questions you guys wanna talk about. I'm happy to talk about anything. No topic is off the table. As long as I remain anonymous, I am perfectly happy answering any questions about the country or religion or my own opinions on whatever it is that you want.
And we will, one thing, well, I'm going to call you K. One thing, K, is take breaths, take like little second breaks in between your speech, just so if we have any pointers that we want to point out, so you're not going on a tangent, just let us say, like, add a comment to the one statement before you go to the next one.
But we really appreciate your insights. That was some very good information firsthand from someone.
Yeah, no problem. It's my pleasure. I always love making sarcastic comments about, you know, people that might kill me.
Well, then, I mean, shit. Okay, I mean, you gotta go back, right? You gotta leave?
Yeah, I got I got it. I mean, you guys carry on this stuff. I mean, you guys keep doing your thing because I don't want to interrupt. You guys have an agenda that I kind of stepped on a little bit.
Well, no, not really, because this is kind of what it is just conspiracy theories, talking about culture, talking about regions. Basically, it's like bro talk, except without all the some of the more creepier
But
things.
you guys carry on with your thing, and you guys keep going. You guys keep going with your thing. I'll try to pick around, but obviously I can't.
This is just the start. From here, it's going to
With
snowball.
with this anymore.
We are the visionaries. We're the Lee Kuan Yews of our generation, okay?
We're planning on doing it Saturdays and Sundays around this time.
Yeah. Are you doing an MR thing later?
Yeah, I'll be streaming that probably tonight too.
Alright, then in that case, I'll see you guys in a bit then.
Yeah, definitely, man. Peace out, bro. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Nice talking to you. Take care.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically, okay, before, like I told you, man, that guy, he's awesome, but he the atheist, and then we just right away jumped into Singapore.
That sounds like a joke. You two atheists walk into a bar.
Pretty much. No, but basically, so what I was saying in continuation to the first stream was regarding religion was that the sort of spiritual battle or the theological battle between Abrahamic faiths and atheists is so one direction that there are no other avenues to look at. I always say, like the road to glory. There's more than one path to glory or enlightenment or happiness. It's not just give your life to Jesus Christ. It's not just give your life to Muhammad or Moses. There are so many avenues to not just in a sense reach a heaven, but just to be content and be in this state of glory is But Abrahamic people and atheists, the only path they see is the argument of heaven and God. So this this YouTube channel, they're having a live telephone call for questions and stuff. And really, what the atheists were looking for were Christians and to debunk Christians. Say, give me any argument you have, and I will debunk it. And the one thing that they always said was, where is your source for the existence of God? Where outside of the Bible, where else does Jesus exist?
What was their answer?
They say something like Josephus, like they named 2 people out of the hundreds of people that saw Jesus, and it's a losing battle for the Christians because they don't have anything. All they have are 2 eyewitnesses and Pontius Pilate, and that's it. Out of the 800 people, 300 people, I don't know how many people ate with him, but of all the hundreds of people who saw Jesus, only 2 wrote about him, and Pontius Pilate, it was proven to be real. And so
the rest of them weren't real, huh?
Not that they weren't real, we don't have sources of them. All we have are the Bible, the 2 witnesses, and Pontius Pilate.
Did the Roman Empire, which ruled over that area during that time frame, did they ever mention him in any historical
Not that
works?
I don't know. At the same time, I wouldn't really call myself an expert. If there are any Christians listening, obviously I don't want to speak on behalf of them because I myself am not an expert, but I do know. For example, a lot of Christians like the debater Cliff Knichel. He mostly goes to college campuses to discuss Christ, but even when someone asked the question outside of the Bible, what other sources are there? And it was the same thing: Josephus, his son, and Pontius Pilate. That's it.
What about the Quran? They reference Jesus too, don't they?
They do, but that book came 600 years after the Bible and 200 years after Muhammad died.
Mm-hmm.
So that's even there
even
is
further removed from
further away from evidence or witnesses, because Muhammad did not exist or was not born at the time of Jesus, so he wasn't even a reliable source. So when I called that hotline of the atheist hotline, their first response was, "What proof that you have that there is a God?" And I was kind of, I guess you could say, befuzzled, or I was kind of lost, or confused, dumbstruck, because There is in the perception of the Zoroastrian faith, there is no proof of God other than just our existence. It's the same thing. They wanted me to prove that there is such thing as a heaven and there is such thing as God and Jesus. And from the perspective of a Zoroastrian, we don't have that, because the only thing we have is just our existence. Because as we mentioned in the previous podcast or the previous stream, was that we don't believe in godly intervention in our world. It's literally just he created the sandbox and then just left us to our own devices to build or to destroy the world. And so, and then fucking also, atheists in the comment section are the biggest dickheads ever. Like I was trying to ease the ice because he was giving an analogy of ice cream. And it was a stupid example or a stupid joke. I was like, well, personally, I prefer peanut butter ice cream. All of the commenters were calling me stupid for choosing peanut butter. Oh, strawberry's better. Chocolate. Mint chocolate. And then, at the end, one of the atheists, he's actually a Satanist, but he's a metalhead. I told him, I was like, which band do you prefer, Black Sabbath or Iron Maiden? And he's preferred Black Sabbath. I was more Iron Maiden. And once again, the fans are like, what are you, stupid? Iron Maiden? They suck. Like, honestly, nothing, if you come out to an atheist and say, this is what I believe in and it's different from your opinion, they will shit on everything you believe in.
Well, man,
not just religion, everything, music.
You had some bad experiences with some atheists, right? We can't say all atheists are good or bad, or all Christian, Muslim, X, Y, Z, Flying Spaghetti Monster are good or bad. They laid a trap for you. You went onto their hotline. He had his people waiting. They get paid. Speaking of which, who pays them to do this hotline, man? Who's funding the
donations, like Patreons?
Who are these people, though?
They're just a bunch of diehard fans that think the exact same. That
you gotta
religious theologists are dumb as rocks. We're the smart ones. No offense to atheists, but I mean, because religious people are on the same boat. They always think they're the smart ones. But the atheists, like, they listen to like one source and they're like, unbeatable. You can't beat that argument. Like this guy, he's a cool dude. Honestly, his name is Aaron Ra, Aronra. That's the Satanist guy. He's a cool guy, and I would love to chat with him. He looks like he's in his 60s, but his fans, they're just so annoying. Like, my intention to go there was to change his perspective on the idea of God.
See, that's where you made a mistake. People are only ready to accept what their mind has already accepted beforehand, the preconceived notions that exist. You can't change nobody in life. The only person who can change someone is themselves.
Yeah, and I mean the only part that I kind of stumped him on was, so I told him that because he was saying there is no proof of God, scientifically speaking, but then I told him science is a man-made creation. It only covers what we perceive in the natural world. It is not meant to cover the supernatural realm.
It was interesting, Tolstoy, he said something very similar to that effect. He was saying that trying to prove God using man-made science is like trying to measure the distance of the ocean using a ruler.
Exactly.
It's not feasible.
Yeah, no, and I mean, but the thing is that science doesn't prove nor disprove the existence of God. And then he was like, I guess, that's literally the only part that I was able to stump him on, because it's true. Science, a man-made curriculum, does not define the potential existence of a super-dimensional, omnipotent being that can, far exceeds the knowledge of humans.
But you know what? I think it's good for us to be open-minded. Maybe they're right. Maybe someone else is right. Maybe nobody's right. Maybe, humanity itself is just looking at it from a wrong perspective. But maybe we shouldn't debate people with the intention of changing them or having them try and change us. Maybe we should just try to work together collectively.
I agree. I would say not necessarily change, but have them look at it from a different perspective.
Sure.
Because that fixes. I mean, that goes beyond religion. Is the like learning from people's listening to their perspective, because they're, like I said, the path to glory is multiple ways. There's not just one route. That's the problem. Is like I meet with a lot of Christians and they say, for us, we believe that if you don't accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, then you don't enter heaven. And so that's why the discussion I had with you the other day was that I don't think a Hindu person would go to the same heaven as a Christian. I feel like what you lived your life as, what you believed in, is where your soul will go to. If you believe in reincarnation, it doesn't make sense for a good Hindu or a good Buddhist to go to a Christian heaven. They're just, it's like, my life was a lie. Like, I spent my life being good so that I can reach enlightenment, and here I am meeting Jesus. Didn't even believe he existed. Like, it doesn't apply. I feel like the soul goes wherever the body believed in. So if you're an atheist,
Why do you say that though? What proof do you have?
I don't. I just believe, well, so there are stories, and now these are all theories, and you can take them with a big grain of salt, because, we talked about how in India there were many sources of reincarnation. There was that one story, MIT actually went to India, this was in the 80s, MIT actually went to this village and declared that this is the most accurate case of reincarnation. It was a lady that kept having like these exorcism moments, or like she was being possessed, and at one point she dies. 45 minutes, like they tested her like
vital signs.
Yeah, signs. They said she died. They were getting ready to bury her. 45 minutes later, she wakes up, and their like their village doctor says this person lived. It's a miracle. But then the next day she wakes up, she has no idea who this person is, this man that she's living with. These aren't her family members. So long story short, the person that was like inside the body of this woman was from someone who was murdered from a different city, far away, middle class. The village that they were in was poor. They went to a middle class. That father comes in, had with a photo album, and kind of says, who are these people? And this woman, who does not know this person, accurately answers all the questions and says, yep, I was murdered by my in-laws.
Wow.
Basically, MIT goes to that village in India, and they prove that this is the most accurate case of reincarnation. And then all the way to America, we have a lot of near-death experience. Like, they talk about how, this person is brain dead. His brain is no longer functioning. A lot of people, scientists, atheists, say these are chemicals that are being shot through your brain. But the problem is you are not conscious. Your brain is, they call you brain dead because your brain is no longer functioning. So I don't understand how you can see images, because a lot of people here, when they have a near-death experience, they say they see this like bright light, or they're in this existence of great joy and happiness. Their relatives that died a long time ago show up and stuff, and so that is another sign, what they perceive to be Jesus or God or an afterlife.
But to interject, some say we are neither the body nor the mind, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of people in the operating room, they claim that they see the doctor operating on them, and later with extreme accuracy they recall the event and say details that they should not have known because they were supposedly under anesthesia, or they were clinically dead for however long, So you don't know, man. Maybe
you really don't.
You have different perceptions too, like they say spiders and stuff. Infamously how Spider-Man has his spider senses, right?
Mm-hmm.
They kind of have a sixth sense. Some animals, they have some senses that we don't have physiologically. So maybe there is kind of like a third person sense. It maybe connects you to your external environment in a way.
Yeah, I mean that still points to the idea of having a spirit. Like, there was that one case where this woman said she died on the operating table, and she saw her soul fly up, and she goes on the roof of the hospital, and she sees on the roof of that hospital, in the corner, there is one untied shoe in the corner of the roof of that hospital. She comes back to life, and she tells one of her nurses, like, I saw myself. In fact, I went out of the hospital and I saw a shoe on the roof.
Wow.
And this nurse doesn't believe her, but then she goes upstairs, goes up to the roof, and in the corner is that untied single shoe. Not a pair, but it's just a single shoe by itself. Now, you can make a lot of arguments. You can say that's a bunch of bullshit, it's all made up. But, I mean, you have all these proofs. We also talked about that 3-year-old that came back to life and said, I know where my body is, I know who did it. Remember we were talking about that? There are all these proofs of people experiencing some kind of supernatural existence, but they're all different. In India, it was some kind of reincarnation. In America, it was some kind of near-death experience where they went to a specific location. And that makes me believe that beyond this life, our soul goes to wherever we perceive it to go. So a lot of atheists, if they believe that when they're dead, that's the end, that they no longer exist, I genuinely feel like their soul kind of, or their body, their consciousness creates that reality.
What happens to animals and plants then?
That's a good point, honestly. I mean, because they don't have the same level of brain function to have that. They experience pain and stuff, but the ability to think.
Like, let's say your dog dies.
Is a dog heaven.
Do all dogs go to heaven? You know, that begs the question, where do they go?
And that also begs the question about animals.
Right.
Like you've seen those videos of like, you know, a cat and a dog were friends, the dog dies and the cat is like, I don't know,
grieving,
like playing with something in the air and stuff, or, you know, a dog would bark into nothing. They always say, like, you know, animals have the stronger sense of like sensing a presence. Maybe they have their own heaven. You know, maybe they have just the way they have, the same as they have their own way of communicating. You know, it might not be like a Christian heaven. I don't think dogs go to Christian heaven. That doesn't make sense.
They're not going to Islamic heaven for sure.
That too. Yeah, dogs are considered dirty. Overall, I just think you and I both believe in a God presence. It's just not necessarily what the rest of the theologians believe. Like it's Jesus, it's Allah, it's, you know, Yahweh, it's, you know.
You know, I would argue it doesn't necessarily matter what someone believes, because that's a personal question, and that's just based off their own cultural and environmental conditions. However, to answer that question, yes, I do believe in God. I do think there is phenomenon that can't be explained. However, I have no solid evidence. Therefore, I cannot claim that this is the path, that's the path. I read different sources, you know, from all perspectives, secular, scientific, religious, X, Y, Z, you name it, ABC, 1, 2, 3, whatever. But the thing is, as humans, we have severe limitations. We don't know what we don't know. They said, this is what you know, this is what you know you don't know, this is what you don't know that you don't know. It's so much, you know.
It's
And I think honestly you could go crazy just trying to find out the truth without everything. So really just live your life, you know, do what you got to do. But to add on, you brought an interesting point that I wanted to address. So you were saying that each person goes to a heaven in which they believe in. I remember reading a case that was famously quoted about a Christian missionary who went to the Arctic to convert the Inuit population to Christianity.
Mm-hmm.
I've told this story to you multiple times, but I'll say for the sake of our audience.
Yeah, go ahead, say it again.
So the Christian missionary, he tells the Inuits that accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior so you can go to heaven, right? And then they say, what happens if we don't? They say, he says, well, you go to hell. He says, what if you never told us that? Then you would have gone to heaven. Then they said, sir, why did you tell us this in the first place? You damned us. You condemned us to eternal damnation because you told us about Jesus Christ.
And that's when I asked some of the more like the Christian experts. I asked them, what about people who don't know about Jesus? They say God judges you based on your character. So at that point, then just don't tell anybody.
Right.
You're forcing them into this position, and that's what kind of got me into the church too. Was they kept throwing this fear tactic of like, if you don't convert, then, you know, you won't go to heaven. But if I didn't know about it in the first place, if I stayed ignorant,
as long as I was a good person,
as long as I had a good character, I would go in. And truth be told, Prophet Zoroaster said that, you know, don't waste your time with these supernatural, superficial thoughts. Basically, live in the now. Live in what you can change, not what you can't. And so that was why I was saying earlier today, we're talking about, you know, philosophy mixed with theology, was because we don't talk about the spiritual realm. We really only just focus on what we can control, which is just the physical realm.
Yes.
And one other point, I know you gotta head out soon, but one other topic I wanted to bring up was, I guess, a discussion for people to have at home when I was in college, we had one of those Christian missionaries come to school, and
We did
so
too.
you guys did too.
All the time, man. It
Oh
was
my
always the
God.
strangest conversations.
Yeah, and they come up to you, they stop you down. You think they're gonna sell you something or donate to something, but they're just like, "Have you picked up your Bible?" And I always liked talking about theology or religion, and I have this chat with this guy, and I asked him at some point. I was like, "Who has a better chance of going to heaven?" And I actually told this to my Christian friends as well, and it was the same exact answer. I just thought this guy was a nut, but he turns out most other Christians agree with him. I asked him, who has a better chance of going to heaven? You could say a gay agnostic or a gay atheist, either or. Basically, someone who's doubtful of the afterlife. He's a gay man, but he is an outstanding person, helps his neighbors, does basically everything, the 10 Commandments that the Bible mentions, that person is doing that. Only thing is he's a gay atheist or a gay agnostic. Does that person have a better chance of going to heaven? Or a repentful or a remorseful Hitler after he killed all those millions of people, who regrets doing what he did and he wants to repent and he's a Christian? Who has a better chance of going to heaven?
What was your answer?
The answer that he and the other Christians I gave was, if Hitler was truly repentful, he would go to heaven. And so, and then you also read this in the Bible, that your actions mean nothing compared to your faith, your allegiance and faith to Jesus, God. Which really, it's messed up, because it doesn't matter what you do in this life, it is tantamount to nothing if you don't put God above everything else. So you can be the shittiest person, not like, they say you want to live as Jesus, but that also means like, be a good person, but you don't have to give to charity. You can disown somebody if their beliefs don't align with you, like for example, a gay son. You don't want them to corrupt your soul, so you can disown your own blood because he's gay. All of that, you can do all of that, but as long as you believe in Jesus, you have a better chance of going to heaven than someone who doesn't, but does so much for the community. And that is the exact opposite that Zoroastrians believe in. Is your character is not defined in who you swore your allegiance to, but it's rather what you do in this life. They always say you don't have to call yourself a Zoroastrian to be a Zoroastrian, as long as you follow the principles of good thoughts, good words, and good deeds. If you follow that, you're technically a Zoroastrian, even though you don't hold the title of a Zoroastrian. And I 100% agree with that. At the end of the day, it's what you do, not who you believe in, that makes you a good character, a good person. But yeah.
Very deep.
Very deep, yeah.
Very, very deep.
But did you have any other points that you wanted to make before we call it a night?
Well, just for some concluding points, I think you did a good analysis of describing the different viewpoints regarding faith. As you see, it's a very subjective thing. Nobody has objective evidence. Neither do the Zoroastrians, the Christians, the Muslims, the Jews, the atheists. None of us know. We're just the blind leading the blind. We're human beings. So at the end of the day, I call all people to, embrace their humanity, respect one another, cooperate with one another, learn from each other, and hopefully we can all someday, advance as a human race.
And sing Kumbaya together.
Sing Kumbaya together.
Hold hands and sing Kumbaya.
Kumbaya.
Exactly. We'll be on same time tomorrow. After 7, we'll be on. We'll have Kay back on. He's going to tell us more. We want to go more into depth about altruism versus hedonism, philosophy and theology, and really get his perception, his take on what he believes in, given the climate that he's been raised into. I believe Singapore is more secular than religious compared to America.
They're a very secular country.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to known him for a long time. Love to have his input. Man, as you have seen, he tends to steamroll a conversation. I warned you. I told you.
Once he starts, he don't stop going.
Once he starts, he's amazing to have a discussion with. But man, he goes on. He doesn't stop. And you can take that as how you will. It's awesome. It's annoying, whichever way. But we'll be having a discussion with him. Hopefully, he'll let us talk more than listening. But yeah, that is the end. Did you have anything you wanted to mention?
We'll be hearing from all of you soon. Until then, take it easy. God bless.
Remember, follow good thoughts, good words, good deeds.